energy from our fan base. Like, I've been in a lot of competitive arenas as a player and as a coach. There was nothing better that I've ever been in than what happened on Saturday night.
It was very casual. We were just kind of walking off the field, and he was like, "So what you gonna do?" I said, "I'm gonna come back next year." He was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'm excited. Let's go to Atlanta." And I was like, "Yes, sir. Let's make it happen."
Pardon me and my tone. You can't step to my throne. They ain't working like me. I did this on my own. You asking where we been, huh? I don't know where to begin, huh? All this dirt on my skin. I just came here to win. I'm more than a man, I'm a monster. Somebody call a pastor, doctor. I got a 6 cents for imposters. So now I'm coming for the whole roster. It's not a game, why you playing with me? You could double back, lose track, try and hang with me. It must be in my veins, something you can't tame, cause I break the chains. Can't control me. I got the power, I got the keys, cause I break the chains. They try to hold me, I'ma push back.
Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Man, I love these impromptu streams. Why not? Why not? Sitting around, nothing going on. My DMs, my messages, everybody is concerned. Everybody is scared. Everybody is texting me saying, Boogie, what is going to happen with Carnell Tate? I feel like this fan base is on the verge of implosion. I feel like if Carnell Tate chooses Ohio State, the meltdown is going to be of epic proportions. Let's talk about it. Let's see what's going down. Let's address the rumors. This show is as much for you guys as it is me. I was talking to a regular listener of the show earlier, and we were both laughing. It's like I'm a grown man, and I am on Twitter constantly refreshing. I'm constantly going to VolQuest and hitting F5, 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 trying to figure out what is going on with Carnell Tate. When is he going to pull the trigger? Is he leaning towards Ohio State? Is he leaning towards Tennessee? What is going on? Either it seems to be one of two ways. Either you are absolutely certain he's going to Tennessee, or you are absolutely certain he is going to Ohio State. We're gonna break it down. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna address it. Like I said, this stream is for you guys. I've got several articles, several interviews. I've got some clips pulled up. We're gonna break it down. We're gonna dissect it. Some of you guys in the chat, I saw one person say, "What is going on?" He's not even set a commitment date yet. Yes, he has. It's coming sooner rather than later. He made it official, I guess it was a couple of days ago. He told Steve Wiltfong that a decision had been made. He just needed a videographer, and this popped up on Instagram. I guess you guys can see that there. There's a videographer that says, Carnell Tate, it's time. Carnell Tate retweeted it. Now, he is playing in a 7-on-7 tournament up in Chicago, and that's probably some of the rumors too, because he is playing with Brandon Ennis, who a lot of people think is going to end up at Ohio State. He's longtime friends with Brandon Ennis. They're boys, you know, and some people were talking about Carnell Tate on Instagram, talking about see you soon, Brandon Ennis. Yeah, because they're playing in a 7-on-7 tournament together this week, so of course they're going to see each other soon. Some people kind of speculated that meant I would see you at Ohio State. I don't necessarily think that that's the case. You could go back to Carnell Tate when Kyler Casper was about to announce. Carnell Tate tweeted out, show the way, show the way. Everything at that point indicated that Carnell Tate was coming to Tennessee. We're going to get into it. We're going to break it down. Let's see who is hanging out in the chat. We already got over 200 people hanging out on this random, I don't even know what day it is. What day is it? Thursday? Random Thursday live stream. Appreciate you guys tuning in, hanging out. Hit that thumbs up. We're going to go through it all. We're going to take your questions. I've even got the Athlon Sports preseason predictions pulled up. Maybe we'll go through that. This is your show. We'll see what direction you guys want to go. But let's see who's hanging out in the chat. Sammy P is here. Member of the channel. Dropping a big woo. Good to see you, Sammy. Thanks for dropping in, buddy. UT Punkin is in the house. Says, let's go Vols. Meme Mapping wants to know when we're going to find Carnell Tate, a videographer, ourselves. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe that's what he's waiting for. Brandon Scott calling it. You made this exact post about Nico a week before he committed. Maybe you can go ahead and read between the lines. Jake Riggins is here. Xavier is here. Short Fuse is in the house. John Hill is in the house saying that On3 now has him at 56%. We're going to get into those numbers. We're going to get into crystal balls and talk about exactly what that means and why it does not concern me. John Hill follows that up with a $10 super chat. Thank you for putting a tip in the old tip jar, John. Appreciate that. You always do it bright and early and often. Appreciate the support of the channel. Says Tate needs to figure out that being a Vol is a ton better than being some nut. He would flourish in Big Orange. Thank you, John, for that super chat. I greatly appreciate it. Who else we got? We got Brian Allison in the house. Dylan Elam is here. Blue Dorito is in the house. Says he's going to the Suck Nuts. What do you guys think? Put it in the chat. You think he's going to the Vols, or do you think he's going to Ohio State? Carson Cood is in the house. William Bozarth. Let's see. Mad Max is here. Fallout Zone. What's up, Fallout Zone? Hadn't seen you in a while, buddy. Good to see you in the chat. I've seen you in some other streams that we partake in together, but not seen you in this chat. Good to see you hanging out. Fubar is here. All right, let's get into the show. Again, it's a one-man army. I didn't even put up the bat signal. I might make some people mad. I don't know. I just thought, short notice, I'll jump on, hang out with you guys. So let's kind of get into it and break it down. Let's start with this. This is 24/7 Sports. I've got so many things pulled up that I can't even keep it straight. Andrew Ivins talking about Ohio State is going to be tough to beat for Carnell Tate. Let's play the clip, and then I'll kind of go back to it. I'll play the clip first, and then we'll go back to what these national recruiting experts that are putting in predictions and making these assumptions and what it means. Let's hear what Andrew Ivins had to say first.
There's some smoke and some talk that he could potentially make a decision this week or next week. You know, I think there's three teams in there: Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Tennessee. Ryan seemed to be pretty feeling good about the Volunteers' chances of landing Carnell Tate, but he did tell me that he thought Ohio State, there was some Ohio State buzz. And, you know, I didn't grab Carnell Tate when we were out in Las Vegas. That was kind of Steve Wiltfong's role this weekend, so he spoke to him. But
we're gonna play that clip too. Even though I made a video earlier and played that clip from Steve Wiltfong, I still want to play it on a live stream and let you guys hear it here live on air. But what changed? Andrew Ivins saying, you know, he said that he was leaning towards Tennessee, but now he's flipped, and now he thinks he's leaning towards Ohio State. What changed? Because, you know, if I'm not mistaken, Carnell Tate has not visited Ohio State since back, I think it was April, for the beginning of April, I believe. And again, I'm spitballing here. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But it's been a minute. It has been a minute since Carnell Tate has been on campus at Ohio State for a visit. You're talking about a guy that has easy access to that campus. Why has he not been on that visit? Why would things start to trend towards Ohio State? Now, you guys know who I trust. You guys know who I believe is the best in the business, and that is Austin Price. And Austin Price has basically said that Carnell Tate went silent, that he made his decision and went silent. He said recruits don't know, teammates don't know, coaches don't know. Nobody knows. The national media particularly does not know. Nobody knows where Carnell Tate is going to end up. So why would the national media all of a sudden start to pick Ohio State? Dakota in the chat, why are we panicking? I don't think we have a problem. I hope you're right. I think it's a matter of time. I think the more time goes by, the more battered Vol syndrome starts to set in, the more people start to panic, and the more it's doom and gloom and the sky is falling. That's why the title of the video is it time to panic? But again, the question is, why are all of these national recruiting experts, when nothing has changed, Nothing has changed at all. Brad Burnett in the chat says silent commit to UT on the baseball weekend. Again, what has changed? Why did he come in town with Nico and all the 5 stars, all the hoopla, and then he came back a little bit later, what was it, less than a week prior to Rocky Top Palooza, because he had a 7-on-7 tournament, couldn't make it in for the big recruiting event that weekend. But what changed? So why are the experts, why are the national media, why are the 24/7 guys pushing all their chips in on Ohio State? Well, it's a coin toss. And again, I go back to Austin Price, and he says that the kid went silent. Nobody has a clue what he's going to do. You know, Austin even said, I think it was today I read, that Austin said, 85, 90% of the time, I know what these kids are going to do. I have no idea when it comes to Carnell Tate. So why would the national media go with Ohio State? Well, where would you go? Where would you go if you had to push your chips in? Where would you go if you made a living on these predictions? Ohio State, who has a track record of landing 5 stars, or Tennessee, who has struggled over the past several years on the recruiting trail? As painful as it is to admit it, it's the reality of the situation. Tennessee has struggled. So if you're going to bet, if you're going to do a 50-50 coin toss, why would you not go with Ohio State if you were national media? Let's see this last couple of seconds here from Andrew Ivins.
From what I've heard, and this is not just like, fresh intel, but the most consistent intel, I think, over the past 2 or 3 months is that Ohio State is going to be pretty hard to beat for Carnell Tate and Brandon Ennis.
Austin Nova.
So again, where does that come from? Where is he getting that Ohio State is going to be pretty hard to beat for Carnell Tate and Brandon Ennis? Brandon Ennis, yes, I agree with that. Like the everything seems to be trending to Brandon Ennis ending up at Ohio State. That's not been the case. I disagree with what Andrew Ivins says there. It's not been trending towards Ohio State. Everything has been trending towards Tennessee. That's the way it's been trending over the last few weeks. Now, the reason everybody's going into panic mode is because he went silent. What do I think is going to happen? I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if he ends up at Tennessee. I don't know if he ends up at Ohio State. I just want to know what has happened over the last few weeks where everything seemed to be trending towards Tennessee. Now, all of a sudden, the national media and all these recruiting experts are starting to say Ohio State. And again, for me, when you talk about this thing and you go back to the last live stream I did with the Ohio State drama, and the wide receiver coach tweeting out, talking about getting to the league. What happened? How did that break down? And the podcast that I played the clips of, how did all of that break down afterwards? I don't care if that podcast had anything to do with Ohio State. It doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. It's pointless to even discuss that. The point is the statements were made. The statements were made about IMG Academy. The statements were made about Carnell Tate. The statements were made about Ohio State, and then their fan base, similar to our fan base. Our fan base can be good because they're passionate, and our fan base can be bad because they're passionate, especially when you have the world of Twitter, and everybody has the world at their fingertips. You just get on, you can type whatever you want to type, but we saw the aggressiveness from the Ohio State fans, and they can come into the comments. I'm surprised they're not in the chat. They love this channel. They love flourishing and highlighting themselves on this channel lately, but they hit Twitter, and they were all over the place saying, we don't need Carnell Tate. That was the theme of that last live stream. They didn't need Carnell Tate. They don't want Carnell Tate. What happened? His mom got involved. He got involved. He tweeted out, you can go to the league from anywhere. You can go to the league from anywhere. Carnell Tate's mom ended up having to lock down her Twitter. She made it private. Then she ended up deleting all of her social media. Everything at that point seemed like Carnell Tate and his family were pissed at the Ohio State, not only the fan base, but the coaches as well. Shortly thereafter, Carnell Tate says he's made a decision. He's looking for a videographer, and then he goes silent. After going silent, that's when everything started to turn. People started to panic, and people started to put into the predictions to Ohio State. So is that something we should be concerned about? The last real communication with Carnell Tate, the last real communication with his mom was, again, her locking down her account because of the actions and the reactions of the Ohio State fan base. Let's go back and play. Let me pull it up. Let's play that Steve Wiltfong interview, because again, this was the only time that Carnell Tate has spoken since he went silent after all that drama involving his mom. Terry Reed in the chat, Boogie, I want Tate, but he is not the end-all, be-all. If we don't get him, we will get another wide receiver to be a star. Yeah, that's where we're going to go, Terry. We're going to go down that road before this live stream is over. We got almost 300 people watching live on this random Thursday in June on about 45 minutes notice. I appreciate you guys. Hit that thumbs up and do me a favor, share the link. If you're on Twitter and you follow Talkin VAWLS, you can see the Twitter handle scrolling across the bottom, at Talkin VAWLS _ pod. If you follow us, go retweet this show. Help us grow this channel. Let Vol Nation, Vol Twitter, like I said, is a powerful thing. Share the show. Let's grow this thing for the fans, by the fans. This show belongs to you guys, but if you share it, help us grow it. We'll continue to build this amazing community. That it's. I love it, man. I love it. I love getting on here and talking ball, but I never expected that we would have this legitimate community of people that are like-minded. Derek Rogers, maybe they gave his mom a bunch of money to apologize. We'll see. We'll see. If it's NIL, if NIL is what caused this whole thing to kind of change from Tennessee to Ohio State, number one, it's going to have to be a fat stack of cash, because I have no doubt that Tennessee's going to have something lined up for him if he comes to Knoxville. But on the flip side of that, it's going to be comical. It is going to be comical when the Ohio State fans have to eat crow, because all they have done is flood this comment section telling me that Tennessee has to buy players. Tennessee is the only way they can get talent is to buy them. So if Ohio State outbid Tennessee for Carnell Tate, allegedly, because, right, it's all illegal. Every bit of it's illegal. I just think that will be comical, because my, how the tables will have turned. Let's hear what Steve Wiltfong had to say interviewing Carnell Tate. Again, I played this on a video earlier, but we'll take a listen to it still.
Steve Wiltfong with 24/7 Sports and CBS Sports HQ out here at the Overtime OT7 event in Las Vegas. This is five-star receiver Carnell Tate. Carnell's mind is made up. He's ready to announce his college decision. Ohio State, Tennessee, and Notre Dame are his finalists. What separated that one school without telling us who it is?
The player development at each and every school, also the coaching staff, and then also the offense. All of it plays a big role in it.
Carnell, let's first talk about the Buckeyes. Ohio State's been one of your favorites for your whole process. What do you love about Ohio State?
I love Coach Hartline and what he has done for the receiver position and stuff like that. And the receivers go through Ohio State.
Tennessee, you've been on camp.
So again, before we hear what he has to say about Tennessee, before we listen to what Carnell Tate has to say about Tennessee, they ask him about Ohio State. He mentions Coach Hartline. He mentions Coach Hartline, who he had just recently been into a beef on Twitter with, because Hartline is on Twitter talking about player development and getting to the league, and that's when Carnell Tate fires back, you can get to the NFL anywhere. It's all about the player, not the school. And that all took place just prior to this. All the beef with his mom, everything that went down, all the drama went down just prior to this. So it's funny that he mentions Hartline, he mentions player development, he mentions the offense and getting to the league, but he said you can do that anywhere. What does that mean for Ohio State? What does that mean for Tennessee? What are we talking about? Joey Gaddis says he's getting his news the way ESPN got the news about Evan Russell. What are you, an Ohio State fan? I don't get the comment. I'm giving you the examples. I don't know if I'm missing something there. From Joey's comment, Dylan Elam in the chat, even if he goes to Ohio State, I don't see him staying. He doesn't seem to like to be the sit and wait type. Yeah, that's something else we're going to talk about too. We'll get into that. I think Carnell Tate's a guy that wants to come in and make an impact immediately, right? Is he going to be able to do that at Ohio State? Because, again, their fan base continually says, we don't need Carnell Tate. We don't need him. He can go wherever. We don't need him. Our wide receiver room is stacked. You're also talking about Brandon Ennis, who could possibly be committing to Ohio State as well. So if you've got Brandon Ennis, you've got Carnell Tate both in the same wide receiver room, and you've got a loaded wide receiver room, does Carnell Tate feel like he can go there and get that playing time, make that impact? I think if he comes to Tennessee, number one, I think he has an opportunity to compete for a starting job right out of the gate. But number two, he knows who is going to be slinging him the rock. Nico Iamaleava. A lot of people are leaving that out of the equation. A lot of people are failing to mention that. A lot of people are not getting that point, that he has made it a focal point that I want a quarterback that can get me the rock. Dakota in the chat, you also have to look at his facial expressions through this interview. Yeah, no doubt. Now let's hear what he had to say about Tennessee. And I know I played this video in a video earlier, but a lot of you guys, it seems like it's a different crowd. It seems like some of you guys watch the videos, some of you guys like the live stream. So let's hear what Carnell Tate had to say when asked about Tennessee.
Several times. What do you love about the Vols and the new direction under Coach Heupel and company?
Oh, the Tennessee have a great coaching staff and a great atmosphere over there. Coach Hype and his area offense will get the job done and stuff like that. Like when I go up there, they tell me about their player development, and like Coach Pope tells me about Bayless. They also said how they went from little to big time when the coaching staff came there.
Carnell plays his high school football at IMG Academy, but he's a Chicago native, about 90 minutes away from Notre Dame. What do you love about the Irish?
Oh, the Irish, great school. That's like Chicago's team right there. It's only an hour and a half from me, stuff like that. So I can go up there anytime I want. And all my family will be able to make the game. So that's special to me. Then with Coach Reed, he's a great guy. Coach Freeman, he's a great guy, a great leader for that program.
Carnell, your mind's made up. When will you think we will know what you're doing?
Oh, I think my decision should be out there in 2 weeks or less.
2 weeks or less, he says. Can you not see it on his face? Yeah, Dylan Elam. Look how much he had to say about Tennessee. And it's funny that he specifically mentioned player development and why he chose the school that he chose. Then he goes on to talk about Coach Pope. He goes on to talk about Josh Heupel. He goes on to talk about the offense, specifically mentions Velus Jones by name. Everything at that point. Again, when we go back to that point in time, I feel like everybody was in agreement. Everybody felt like Carnell Tate was coming to Tennessee, but then it's this silence. It's this waiting game where people started to panic, started to get nervous, started to feel like maybe he's leaning towards Ohio State. Let's go take a look at another article here, again from 24/7 Sports. This is their, I agree, Jason, that smile tells the whole story. This is their Ohio State branch of 24/7 Sports. But let's take a look at this. Let's kind of go through this. We'll make some comments on it along the way. You guys talking about AP not being on the Mailbag podcast this morning because he's with Carnell Tate filming a recruitment, filming a commitment video. I don't think so. I don't think that's the case. I think AP has no idea. I wouldn't be surprised to see Carnell Tate either one, just pull the trigger and drop the video, or number two, he would maybe, say, I'm going to commit tomorrow at 1 p.m. So that way everybody's talking. And that's the fun thing about this whole ordeal too. That's the whole thing about Carnell Tate. Because again, I mentioned this in some videos too. Carnell Tate is getting his moment. And that's what's fun about it. That's what's cool about it. Because so many times these kids that put in the work, that they become 5 stars, they become, hot commodities in the recruiting world, and they don't get their moment. And, AP kind of talks about it a lot over at VolQuest. Oh, I got to update this. I got to put John Hill on the leaderboard. Just pause this real quick. I got to put John Hill on the leaderboard for his super chat tonight. I want to recognize you guys that contribute to the channel. All-time single donation. James Moody dropped a $200 super chat. A $200 super chat. That is insane. So I want him to always be on that leaderboard. Jerry Hinderlot dropped a hundo on us this month alone. And then also you can see John Hill, top contributor of this stream, dropped a $10 super chat. Thank you, John, for that. But I want you guys to be recognized down below. Also, all the members of the channel, I try to highlight as many of your comments as I can throughout the stream. Sometimes it's a little difficult for me as I'm on here by myself and don't have a wingman. But where was I? What was I talking about? You guys talking about AP filming a video. Again, I think it's cool that Carnell Tate's getting his moment. And, that's something that Austin Price talks about is some of these, insiders, these guys like Steve Wiltfong, some of these guys that drop crystal balls. He says it's not a prediction. He says it's a spoiler because these kids trust you. They give you information, and then you go and you make, a prediction and spoil it because because it's not a prediction. He's told you information, and that's why, we've seen AP. We've seen him, man. He a lot of times he has his finger on the pulse. He knows what's going down, but he doesn't spoil the kid's moment. He gives that kid an opportunity to make his commitment, to drop his commitment video, to have that moment. And again, these kids deserve it, man. And sometimes I know I know that they're a little dramatic, and Carnell Tate's enjoying the ride. It's part of it. It is what it is. But let's go take a look at this article real quick. Again, this is 24/7 Sports. Buck Nuts. What a freaking stupid name. Why would you name your website Buck Nuts and think that is a good thing instead of a bad thing? It says here, Ohio State is one of the premier programs at developing the wide receiver position, especially in the recent seasons under fourth-year position coach Brian Hartline. In the latest Wiltfong Whip Around, 24/7 Sports Director of Recruiting Steve Wiltfong broke down where Ohio State stands for top 10 wideouts from the class of 23, including IMG Academy 5-star Carnell Tate. Again, that seems to be the common thread. That seems to be what people want to talk about is player development. And Brian Hartline. And I get it. I get it. He's put guys in the league. He's proven. He's got the track record. Dakota for 20. Thank you, Dakota, for the $20 super chat. Now we're talking big bucks. That ain't cheap. That's a half a gallon of gasoline right now, Dakota. I appreciate that. Super chat says, get out of here, John Hill. That is my spot. Well, you're right, Dakota. We'll go down here and we'll update it. We'll make sure that you get your place on the throne. Again, I don't have a wingman, so you guys have to bear with me. Top super chatter of the live stream, Dakota VFL. Thank you, Dakota, for the super chat. We got you on the leaderboard down there, buddy. Your name will be seen, but thank you for that super chat. We appreciate it. But back to the point, Brian Hartline, everybody talks about player development. Everybody talks about, Brian Hartline, all the guys that he's put in the league, and you can't deny it. The facts are facts. But I loved the way that Coach Pope kind of fired back at Hartline when he went to Twitter to make that comment. Coach Pope kind of fired back and said, numbers don't lie, and he kind of pointed out what Cedric Tillman did last year, and we've said it time and time and time again, but it's worth mentioning when you're talking about recruiting and you're talking about player development, and it's Cedric Tillman had 8 receptions in the 3 years previous. He comes in under Coach Heupel, and he puts up 1,000 yards receiving, puts up all kinds of ridiculous numbers. It's a guy that coming into this year, if he matches those numbers, I saw somebody talking on VolQuest, if he matches those numbers from last year, he has the potential to be one of the top Tennessee receivers of all time. And that's also a guy that could possibly come back for a super senior season, which I don't see. That's not going to happen. The guy he's one and done. If he has the success he had last year, he's off to the NFL, and rightfully so. He deserves it. He deserves that opportunity to go make money. But when we talk about player development and we talk about wide receiver development particularly, look, Bayless Jones, Cedric Tillman, we've seen the player development. Josh Heupel in just 1 year. And that's why, again, we have to be careful with what our expectations are, but at the same time, Josh Heupel has to continue this trajectory. He has to continue that momentum. Cedric Tillman needs to have a big year. Hendon Hooker needs to have a big year. We need to see guys continue to get better on offense and defense. I saw people talking about Trayvon Flowers. Players get better, players improve, players develop. Trayvon Flowers needs to take a step this year, and he needs to show that Willie Martinez and Tim Banks are playing a part of that player development. But when we're talking about Carnell Tate and we're talking about wide receiver development, they're going to sell Brian Hartline on that, and rightfully so, but don't sleep on Josh Heupel and this coaching staff. Volunteered 77, drops a 10 spot. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. Says, get him on the bus and watch the rest of those seats fill up with top recruits. Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point, Volunteered 77. How much momentum, we saw the momentum from Nico. How much momentum will Carnell Tate create? And you talk about having Nico Iamaleava, a 5-star quarterback. You talk about having Carnell Tate, a 4-star or a 5-star wide receiver. I think Francis Mauigoa, call me crazy. I think Francis Mauigoa is in the boat. I think he is coming to Tennessee, and I think they've got him locked down. 5-star offensive tackle. You've also got Shandavion Bradley, 5-star defensive lineman. I think Tennessee has a great shot at landing him. The world's not going to end. The sky's not going to fall if Tennessee doesn't land Carnell Tate. But dang, it's going to create some momentum if they are able to land Carnell Tate. What about Malik Benson? the JUCO transfer. I love this kid. I absolutely love Malik Benson. But just close your eyes for just a moment and imagine. Imagine the momentum you can create off of Carnell Tate. Imagine Nico, Carnell Tate, Ethan Davis at tight end, Malik Benson at wide receiver, Cameron Seldon. Made a video on him earlier today. I encourage you to go back and give it a watch. Freak athlete, 6'1", 220 pounds. Big physical, but he runs a 4.3 40. Come on, get out of here. That's SEC level talent. Nico, Carnell Tate, Malik Benson, Ethan Davis, Cam Seldon. That's a record-breaking offense. Look at what Josh Heupel's done with less. And no disrespect to the players on this football team. No disrespect. But look what Josh Heupel's done with those guys. Look what he did with Cedric Tillman. What can he do with a guy like Nico? What can he do with a guy like Carnell Tate and Ethan Davis? What can he do with Malik Benson? Give him the toys in the toy box. How much better will this offense be? How much will we stop talking about defense? How much will we stop stressing about defense and we'll just go score 80 on people? Why not? Josh Heupel's proven, man. He coming in, I get it. I understand people having a little doubt. But Josh Heupel won me over. Josh Heupel sold me on what he brings to the table. And I'm excited to see what he does this fall. But again, let's get the weapons in place and see how much better this Josh Heupel offense gets. But they want to talk about player development. Everybody wants to talk about Brian Hartline and player development. This article from Bucknuts goes on to say the Buckeyes have faced some stiff competition from Tennessee after Tate took 2 trips to Knoxville in the past 2 months. Wilt Fong's 24/7 Sports crystal ball remains on Ohio State, but the Vols are not to be counted out. Here's the quote from Steve Wiltfong. He says, Carnell Tate, I feel the same as I've always felt. My crystal ball has been on Ohio State for a while. I'm sticking with it. I'm not sleeping on Tennessee. It's kind of been my company line all the way through. I think Tennessee's done a terrific job. They have a great offense. They obviously have a really great quarterback coming in, but I still think Ohio State, Brian Hartline, Keenan Bailey, Ryan Day, the offensive track record of developing the position, track record of developing the quarterback position, a Chicagoland native. I just like where Ohio State still stands for Carnell Tate. A lot to unpack there because, again, he put his crystal ball in a while back. And you know, when I'm making these recruiting videos, later, Dakota, have a good night, buddy. Thanks for dropping in. Appreciate the super chat earlier. When I'm making these recruiting videos and I'm talking about guys like Carnell Tate, look at Nico, look at Francis Mauigoa. All these guys came from nowhere. They were not even really mentioned. And then all of a sudden, Tennessee gets them on campus. All of a sudden, Tennessee gets a visit. And then Tennessee starts to create this momentum. The next thing you know, Tennessee leads. Steve Wiltfong put his crystal ball in a long time ago before Tennessee really started to get that momentum. Now he's kind of stuck with his guns. Feels like Tennessee kind of started to take the lead, kind of lead on Carnell Tate's recruitment. So what does Steve Wiltfong does? He leaves it in. He lets it sit. He's going to wait. And now we're at the end of the road. The decision is in. The decision is made. And Steve Wiltfong can't figure it out. Nobody knows where Carnell Tate's going. That's why the crystal ball is staying in, because it's a coin flip, guys. It's a 50-50. Nobody has a clue. So Steve Wiltfong is going to he's going to gamble on Ryan Day and on player development, on their offense, and their proven track record. Again, all the national media, all anybody has to go by with Josh Heupel at Tennessee is 1 year. That's it. That's all they have to go by. So if you're got to make a 50-50 coin toss, as a predictor, as a recruiting prediction machine, as whatever you want to call it, a crystal ball, they're going to go with the odds. And those odds are on Ohio State. That doesn't necessarily mean to me that Ohio State leads the way. What do you guys think? Drop it in the live chat. Do you guys disagree, agree? Look, so many people were concerned. I've seen it all over VolQuest. I've seen it all over Twitter. Like I said, people have been DMing me. They've been in my messages saying, Boogie, I don't feel good about it. I don't feel good about it. So the goal of this stream, it's not time to panic. It's not time to panic. It's time to sit back and wait and let this thing play out. Samuel Reiner, Custom Knives for a $4 super chat. Thank you for that. Appreciate the super chat. Said Trevor Duncan bumped to a 4-star on 24/7 Sports. Good for him. Good for Trevor Duncan. That's a dude that I think he ends up at offensive tackle. A lot of the guys that I trust with their evaluation, with their knowledge of the game, think that Trevor Duncan ends up at offensive tackle. But as of right now, listed as an athlete, defensive lineman, offensive lineman. We'll see where he ends up. Big physical kid, athletic. Good to see that he got bumped to a 4-star. Preston Frills for a 5. Thank you for the super chat. Where do we stand with Devin Hyatt? Imagine Nico, Carnell, Francis, Davis, and Hyatt. You know, this makes a lot of people mad. I was talking about this with a listener in some DMs earlier in the week. At one point, I don't think Devin Hyatt was a take, and I know that pisses people off. I know it does, and I get it. But you got to look at one point. Tennessee had Kyler Casper on their radar. Carnell Tate. Now we just recently had a visit from Aiden Mazzell. Even though he's leaning towards Florida, Tennessee's working their way in there. Cameron Seldon wants to play wide receiver. Malik Benson, absolute stud. If you ask me to pick 4 wide receivers, Devin Hyatt's not going to be at the top of the list. Now, the way things are playing out, particularly, we're going to get into it. Where do we go from here if Carnell Tate does choose Ohio State? Devin Hyatt's going to go right up to the top. He's going to be right in the mix. And I think Devin Hyatt loves Tennessee. I do. I think he loves Tennessee. But I don't know that I don't know how many wide receivers, first of all, that Tennessee's going to take. Are they going to take 4? Maybe 4 wide receivers? Well, if you take Carnell Tate, Malik Benson, Cameron Seldon, you had Kyler Casper in there at one point. Aiden Mazzell is up there. I don't know that Devin Hyatt makes the top 4, but now I see Devin Hyatt moving his way up. I like the kid. Obviously, his brother, that's a nice connection. You got his brother on campus, but you're also creating that pipeline to IMG Academy when you talk about Carnell Tate, Francis Mauigoa, Samuel Mpemba. Who in the world thought he was going to be on campus? 5-star athlete, defensive lineman. Who in the world thought Tennessee was going to have a chance there? But they do. And that's why I talk about momentum in recruiting, and so many people say, we're not getting any recruits. There is no momentum. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Be patient. We got to be patient. Of the targets we've talked about, of the guys we've mentioned, how many of those guys have committed elsewhere outside of Kyler Casper? That was the big surprise. Kyler Casper was the big surprise because, it was down to the wire. We were watching that commitment, and was it going to be Tennessee or was it going to be Oregon? Outside of that, Vic Burley, I know he just recently chose Clemson. You got the offensive lineman just recently chose Ole Miss. Both of those, I knew it was coming. Austin Price, again, lays it out. I feel like this is a big commercial for VolQuest, but AP's the best in the business. And when he tells you not to stress, don't bother watching a commitment, I ain't going to bother watching the commitment because I knew Vic Burley, he had been laying it out for weeks that Vic Burley was going to Clemson. He'd been laying it out for weeks that the kid was going to Ole Miss. It is what it is. Sammy P dropping a big spot, a big 25er. Thank you for the super chat, Sammy P. Very generous, says I'll stand where I was last time. Tate is a Vol. Dropping those custom Talkin VAWLS emojis. Thank you, Sammy P. Very generous super chat. You're taking your spot. You're bumping Dakota out of the way. Poor Dakota is gone. So let me update this. The Sammy P for 25. Get you on that leaderboard. Appreciate that. Very generous super chat. Thank you, Sammy P. Yeah. That's where I'm at. If I had to make a choice, if I had to make a decision, if I had to pick right now, I'm going Tennessee because I don't think anything's changed over the last few weeks. Carnell Tate's not been on campus at Ohio State since April. He had the one-on-one with Josh Hop. That's the one, guys. That's the one that I really think sealed the deal. When he came back and it was one-on-one, it was just prior to Rocky Topalooza, and it was him. It was Coach Heupel. He was with Dondi Plowman. He was with Danny White. Brad, I see you, Brad. I see you. Sometimes while I'm talking, you guys get me sidetracked and make me laugh. I like where Tennessee's at. I just don't feel like much has changed since that one-on-one visit. Let's go back to the article from Buck Nuts. Talks here about American Heritage 5-star Brandon Ennis, number 18 overall prospect, number 2 wide receiver, according to 24/7 Sports Composite. Recently took an official to Alabama, but he makes his return to Ohio State this coming weekend. Brandon Ennis, 5-star receiver from South Florida. Still like my prediction for Ohio State. After talking to him and some people around him, Alabama certainly gave him a lot to think about. USC and Miami in the picture, but I like the Buckeyes. And then they also mentioned Noah Rogers here, which was also a Tennessee target at one point. 4-star recruit out of North Carolina is going to be visiting the Buckeyes, NC State, and UNC in the coming weeks. Wilt Fong sees OSU as the team to beat, entering that group of trips as well. And he goes on to make a quote there about Noah Rogers. But that goes back to my point I made earlier. You talk about Ohio State. You talk about their wide receiver room and all the talent that they have. Does Carnell Tate want to come in and compete with Brandon Ennis and Noah Rogers? Or does he want to be the alpha? Does he want to be the alpha of the wide receiver room? Sure, it's great. It's great. Again, we keep talking about it. We keep talking about having Carnell Tate on one side, Malik Benson out there, Cameron Seldon. You need that talent. But the Ohio State fans, their claim to fame, what they like to tell me, is that their wide receiver room is loaded. So is Carnell Tate willing to wait his turn? Is he willing to wait his turn, or does he want to come to Tennessee? And how much does NIL play into this? How much does NIL play into this? Everybody out here predicting like it ain't happening. Nick Saban out here predicting like he's doing things, or acting like he's doing things by the book. Jimbo Fisher acting like he ain't paying players. We all know it's happening, and it's comical. Ohio State fans come into the chat and say, "Why don't you ever mention that Tennessee's paying players?" I mention it all the time. All the time. Tennessee is 100% paying players. They're 100% using NIL to recruit, pay to play. It's illegal. Every freaking school in the country is doing it. There's no doubt about it. It is happening. It's happening all over the country, not just in Knoxville, not just at Ohio State. It is what it is. Let's catch up with you guys. Let's for the fans, by the fans, you guys have an opportunity. Let's voice your opinions. Give me the biggest rumors. What is concerning you? Why are you scared that Carnell Tate is heading to Ohio State and not Tennessee? Is it the post on Instagram with the Ohio State gloves? Is it the crystal balls? What is concerning you when it comes to Carnell Tate that you think he is going to end up somewhere else? Terry Reed says Ohio State fans say Tate won't see the field till he's a junior. And again, what does he want? Does he commit to Ohio State and then end up in the transfer portal? Is that what happens with Carnell Tate? Chris Bradley says that where he commits will show a lot about the kid's character. I don't know. People will flip that on us because they'll talk about NIL at Tennessee and talk about, if that's the thing. If Tennessee gets Carnell Tate in the boat, everybody in the country is going to be saying that it was only because of NIL. No other reason that it was only because of NIL. Robert Clark, I don't even care if we were paying them. Let's buy some more players. I agree, Robert. That's where I'm at, man. Let's just pay them. Let's pay them all. Terry Reed, not scared. Eric S. Jones, NIL is legal. Every college is paying players. Yeah, but you're not supposed to use it for pay to play. You're not supposed to use it to recruit, to entice. But everybody's doing it. We all know it. Cody Branch, my biggest concern is that there was a rumor floated out there that Ohio State just signed their biggest NIL deal to date. Yeah, don't think that that's not a video in the back of my mind. Don't think that I'm not going to put out a video talking about Ohio State pay to play because their NIL collective is bragging about the biggest NIL deal ever, and then you're going to go land Carnell Tate? Yeah, pot, meat kettle, both black. Nico Iamaleava making $8 million. Carnell Tate wants to sign a deal. I'm fine with it, but it's going to be comical. It's going to be comical to all the Ohio State fans. Speaking of Ohio State fans, everybody welcome Uncle Rico to the show. Everybody welcome Uncle Rico to the show. He's an Ohio State fan. He's been flooding around the comments. He's here all the time, probably telling me how stupid I am. I can't remember. There's so many of them. Some of them are cool. Some of them are not. Uncle Rico says, check the On3 predictions. Everything's moving to Ohio State today. We already addressed that. Uncle Rico kind of talked about why that is happening. Now, you can agree. You can disagree. You can say I'm stupid and don't know what I'm talking about. But I've already addressed that. Go back, check out the replay. Uncle Rico, you're welcome here. You're welcome here. Brian Roberts even says, hello, Uncle Rico. We welcome any and all fans. You know, somebody in the Talkin VAWLS Facebook group has been pretty upset with Uncle Allen and wants him gone, doesn't want him a part of the group because he is a Georgia fan. I researched. His Facebook account, he is a Georgia fan. You got to kick him. You got to get rid of him. That's not how I do business, man. Everybody's welcome as long as they keep it civil. I don't care if Uncle Rico comes in here and voices his opinion. I don't care if he accuses Tennessee of paying players. As long as he keeps it civil and isn't being an idiot, Uncle Rico is welcome. Uncle Rico is welcome. Riley Bell's welcoming Uncle Rico to the channel as well. Backwoods having some debate with Uncle Rico in the chat, in the comments. Chris Bradley says, does Tate want to be a great and play the best competition week in and week out at Tennessee, or does he want the easy path at Ohio State? Yeah, for sure. For sure. Does he want to play in the SEC? Does he want to play in the most elite conference in the country? Speaking of elite, that's a good segue. You segued me right in. Go check out the official merchandise of the Talkin VAWLS Network. Go to bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. Any and all support greatly appreciated. You see these elite shirts, and some of you may be like, why does Talkin VAWLS have a shirt that says elite? Well, if you're a member of the channel, if you join this channel, you're financially contributing to what we do. It gives us an opportunity to provide more content. Hopefully one day do this full time where we can do 2-3 videos a day and do a live stream every night, every other night. More content. If we can do this full time, like tonight, I just had the opportunity. I thought it'd be a great time to jump on, hang out. But if you're elite, if you know, you're giving $10 a month to this channel, you are really driving me to quitting my job, and I appreciate that. So if you know, check out the elite merch and join the channel. Hit that join button just down below. Like I said, 99 cents a month gets you custom Talkin VAWLS emojis. As much as $10 a month, you get access to fan call-in shows, all that great stuff. But then we've got the Old Faithful as well, the State Pride, the Beat Bama, Beat Florida, all this stuff. Again, it's bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. Any and all support greatly appreciated. The links to all that is in the description below. So go check it out. Any and all support. We love you guys. We thank you guys for tuning in. Tons of people hanging out here on this random Thursday night. I hate that I can't see member chats. They don't show up on StreamYard for some reason, but I've got my phone pulled up at the chat over here. Samuel Reiner Custom Knives has been a member of the channel for 3 months. Says, I'm confident he's in the boat. Very excited. I hate that doesn't show up over here where I can't see it. Eric Ash Jones upgrades his membership to Talkin VAWLS Faithful. That boy, Eric, appreciate the support, my man. It's late in the stream. We're 45 minutes in. I'm going to go through this Athlon Sports predictions. So we probably won't be able to do this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Why not? If we can get 15 new members, that means if you give 99 cents a month, you hit the join button, 99 cents a month, 15 new members, I'll give away a free shirt. Whatever you want. Hoodie, t-shirt, tank top, whatever you want. We'll give away a free shirt. If we get 15 new members at any level before the end of the show, we'll go ahead and do it. But let's jump in. Some of you guys say, I'm sick and tired of talking about recruiting. I want to talk about the upcoming season. I want to talk about 2022. I want to talk about Hendon Hooker. I want to talk about this football team. So I figured that'd be a good way to kind of wrap up this stream. Again, we're 47 minutes in. Matt Adams says only 66 people have liked this stream. Surely to God that is not accurate. 66 thumbs up, and we got 284 people watching live. Smash that like button down below. Smash it, destroy it, kill it. Help the channel. That's the quickest, freest, easiest way that you can help this channel. Hit that thumbs up. It takes no time at all. I say it all the time. I drop a video. I drop a new video. I try to do one every morning. And within 10 minutes, there's 100 people that have watched the video. And half the thumbs up. If you're watching one of our videos within the first 10 minutes, hit that thumbs up. You like what we do, hit that thumbs up. Buck says it's 137, get it right. Riley says, nope, it's 150. All right, that's much better. Thank you guys. Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you smashing the thumbs up. Let's talk about 2022 predictions. What is expected of this football team? There you go, Elijah. Due to that like button, what we did to Mizzou last year and South Carolina. Don't forget South Carolina as well. What's the expectation for 2022? I'm afraid so many people. Last year we saw the momentum. They started, they were moving in the right direction, and expectations shift going into the year. Oh, they just need to win. They're going to win 3 games. Josh Heupel sucks. He can't recruit. Terrible coach. They're going to win 3 games, and then expectations start to shift. Expectations start to change. Josh Heupel starts to do more with less. All of a sudden, everybody starts to say Tennessee needs to win 10 games. Tennessee needs to do this. They need to do that. I don't think they need to win 10 games. I think 10 games, 10 wins is possible. I think it's possible. But let's take a look at athlonsports.com. Man, I used to love these. I used to love these magazines back in the day. I may even pick one up. I may go grab one. I used to love to get them. Obviously, a lot of you guys know I do the NCAA 2013 streams on Tuesday nights. I love the Elite. I love those guys that show up on Tuesday nights. Best night of the week. So much fun. But I used to get those magazines, enter the player names, man. Just so many memories. So many memories. But let's take a look at Athlon Sports. See where they have Tennessee. SEC football 2022 predictions. It's kind of going through it here. You can see the East Division. SEC football 2022. You got the Georgia Bulldogs at the top of the East. Let's see what they say about Georgia. Where's Uncle Allen? There's no way Uncle Allen's in the chat. He doesn't show up. Says the Bulldogs return only 10 starters from last year's team that won it all, but there's no reason for concern in Athens. Coach Kirby Smart's program will simply reload with the next wave of stars on both sides of the ball. An elite, you got to send me some money when you use that word, defense that held teams to 10.2 points a game, 4.2 yards per play, lost a handful of standout defenders, including lineman Jordan Davis, Trayvon Walker, N'Kobe Dean, and safety Lewis Kine. However, look for lineman Jalen Carter, linebackers Robert Bill Nolan Smith, quarterback Kaylee Ringo to lead the way on another dominant defense in 2022. And again, that's why, look, the bottom line is, Georgia is so stacked full of 5 stars. They are so loaded with 5 stars. It's plug and play. And that's why when we talk about recruiting, it's not just a class of 23. It's not just a class of 23. Josh Heupel's got to do it again in 24. He's got to do it again in 25. People come in to the comments, the chat, and they say, when is Tennessee going to beat Alabama? It doesn't happen overnight. Just because Josh Heupel had some success last year, and it didn't end the way we wanted to in the bowl game, but he still did more than anybody expected. You got to continue to build on that. You got to do it week in, week out, year in, year out. You got to stack these recruiting classes in order to have an opportunity to take over a team like Georgia. That's why, for me, Georgia's right at the top of the SEC East. There's no doubt about it. They're right at the top of the SEC East. There's just too much talent there. And again, you talk about who's the best coach. You switch Josh Heupel and Kirby Smart. Switch them. Would there be any change to Georgia's record, or would Josh Heupel go dominate with that Georgia football team? Goes on to say quarterback Stetson Bennett is back for one more ride under center after throwing for 2,800 yards, 29 touchdowns last fall. Joined Kendall Milton and Kenny McIntosh at running back and a deep collection of targets in the receiving corps, led by tight ends Brock Bowers and Eric Gilbert. 3 starters return up front, but Georgia could have the nation's best offensive line in 2022. Barring a major surprise, Bulldogs should be favored and likely by double digits. So here's what we want to talk about. We go down talking about predicting the East. You got Tennessee right here. Athlon Sports has Tennessee predicted to finish second in the SEC East. I'm with that, man. That's pretty much where I have them. That Kentucky game, it's going to be tough. You know, there are dumb little stepbrother up north that we beat up, whip around all the time. But look at that game last year. It could go down to the wire again. Florida, they've got coming in at 4th. Tennessee absolutely has to beat Florida. Xavier says it every time he's on this channel. He says, Boogie, that Florida game is the end-all, be-all. Tennessee has to beat Florida. And you can see it there. They're down there at 4th. South Carolina, Missouri, Vanderbilt rounding out the East. But Tennessee has to win that Florida game. They have to. And when you pull up the schedule, let me go pull it up here. Let's see, it's up here somewhere. Let's go take a look at the schedule. When you pull up the schedule, Tennessee has to. They have to. If Tennessee wants to continue this momentum, if they want to continue, and look, we still got a long ways to go in signing this class for 23. They got a long way to go. But if they want to continue that momentum in recruiting, and again, I've touched on it the last couple of videos I made, you got guys that want to commit before their senior season starts. They want to be able to enjoy that last year of high school. They want to enjoy, the process, just laid back, relax, play some football. And then you've got guys that want to enjoy the recruiting process. They want to take official visits all over the country. You want to continue that momentum with those guys, you got to start this season 4-0. I'm sorry, you do. And my expectation is no more than 8 wins. But you got to start 4-0. You got to beat Pitt. That game really doesn't concern me. Kenny Pickett off you lose your best your NFL caliber quarterback, and you lose one of the best wide receivers in the country in the transfer portal. Tennessee should beat the brakes off of Pitt. I don't care that it's on the road. They got to take care of business. They got to beat Pitt. They got to do it. There, no ifs, ands, or buts. I'm not going to be happy if Tennessee loses to Pitt. John Hill says, shoot, we got to beat Pitt first. They better take care of business. That game, they better take care of business. They've got to start 4-0. For me, that's it. They got to start 4-0. And again, I think 8 wins. I think this team, I put them at 8 wins. They can win too. I could see them going 5-1 in the front half, 5-1 in the back half. Losses to Alabama and Georgia. But in the grand scheme of things, I think that LSU game, I think that Kentucky game, and look, Missouri, South Carolina, there are a lot of toss-up games on this schedule, is why I think Tennessee could end up at 8-4 when it's all said and done. But I really think Tennessee should and will start this season 4-0. I really do when I look at that schedule. Let's see what Athlon Sports had to say about Tennessee. He says, Josh Heupel's debut was a successful one on Rocky Top. The Vols showed marked improvement on offense, averaging 39.3 points a game, up from 21.5 the previous year. Also, thanks to the emergence of quarterback Hendon Hooker, Tennessee led the SEC in plays of 40-plus yards. Look, just listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. Do you hear the words coming out of my mouth after the year, the bottom of the barrel, the worst of the worst, coming off of that last season under Jeremy Pruitt? I remember doing the live streams talking about him being fired, and we were at rock bottom. They go hire Josh Heupel. Nobody's happy. Everybody's pissed. Nobody believes that this football program will ever succeed, but then averaged 39.3 points a game and led the SEC in plays of 40-plus yards, 23 of them after collecting just 3 the previous fall. All Josh Heupel needs to do is Tim Banks the guy. Can Tim Banks get it done? I like the guy. I like what he has to say. I question recruiting, and I know it's just 1 year in. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I'm not hating on Tim Banks. I'm not hating on Brian Jean-Marie. I'm telling you that I'm going to be watching over the next year the recruiting. Can they get better players on defense? Rodney Garner seems to be doing his job. He seems to be bringing in the recruits on his side of the ball at the defensive line. Where are the linebackers? Willie Martinez, you're on blast too. I'm going to be watching Willie Martinez, Brian Jean-Marie, Tim Banks overall. This defense doesn't have to be elite. They just have to be efficient. They just have to be efficient. Goes on to say Hooker and receiver Cedric Tillman top the list of reasons for optimism in Knoxville with 4 starters back along an offensive line, hoping to improve after allowing 44 sacks last year. And let's talk about the offensive line. Again, you're returning 4 starters. You're trying to figure out who's going to anchor down that left tackle position. Is it going to be Gerald Mincy? Is it going to be J.J. Crawford? Who's going to lock down that left tackle? But it's kind of like what I said earlier about Trayvon Flowers. You expect players to develop. You expect players to get better. Can Trayvon Flowers get better? Can this offensive line get better? You're talking about returning 4 starters, but they also gave up 44 sacks. You ever watch Tommy Boy when he talks about guarantees? Kind of the same thing, right? You're returning 4 starters, but they gave up 44 sacks. Are they going to develop or are they going to get better? Who locks down that left tackle position? Says, although scoring points shouldn't be a problem for Tennessee, the defense has to make major progress to push for 9 wins. This unit allowed more than 200 rushing yards, 33.6 points a game in SEC play last season. You got to factor into that too. When you look at numbers on defense, and to that matter, when you look at numbers on offense, when you look at points per game, when you look at, what this offense was able to do, the fact that they're going fast, the fact they're going quick, they're running more plays. That's offensively and defensively. So, of course, the defense is going to give up more points per game. Of course, they're going to give up more yardage per game. That's part of it. You have to understand that when you're being the stat guy just rattling off numbers. It's part of the game. It's more about, again, getting off the field on third down. That's what's more important to me for this defense going into this season. Lineman Byron Young, Tyler Barron, along with linebacker Jeremy Banks provide a solid foundation up front for coordinator Tim Banks. However, the Volunteers simply need more talent, depth, and improvement to have any shot at pushing Georgia for the SEC East. And that's it. I don't see Tennessee pushing Georgia for the SEC East. I would be happy with 8-4, 9-3, second in the SEC East. That I would be content with that. I would be happy with that. You lock down a top 5 class in this class of 23. That's crucial. That is huge. You got to be able to lock down that top 5 class to be able to continue that momentum. But look, guys, 2023 is going to be tough. It is going to be tough. Losing Hendon Hooker, losing a lot of talent. Jeremy Banks, you are losing a lot going into that 23 season. That's the one that concerns me. If Josh Heupel, this coaching staff, this football team comes out and goes 8-4 this year, where do they end up in 2023? Are you leaning on a guy like Nico? Do you get Carnell Tate in the boat and you're leaning on him in the fall of 23 when it counts, when it matters, when it's not just numbers and recruiting talk? It's on-field performance. It's going to be interesting. 2023 is going to be interesting. Not to jump ahead of myself, let's take care of business this year. 8-4, 9-3. Let's take care of business. I think that's going to wrap it up for this one. Just wanted to jump on, hang out with you guys. We're all waiting on the same thing. We're all waiting on Carnell Tate to commit. Going through that Athlon Sports preview. If you're watching this on the replay or anybody in the chat, come back, leave me a comment after we go off air. Give me a prediction. What is your prediction for Tennessee's record in 2022? But I think that's going to do it. Got more video content coming your way. Going to continue to follow recruiting. Got some recruits coming in. Got some crystal balls going our direction. And also we'll be live Tuesday night with the NCAA stream. So I hope you guys will come hang out. Anybody in the chat that doesn't show up on those Tuesday nights, you ought to come hang out. It's a lot like this. I'm playing a video game, but at the same time, I'm hanging out with you guys in the chat. We're talking Vol football. I think some of you guys would enjoy it. But that's going to do it for this one. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate the love. Appreciate the support. Smash that thumbs up. Even if you've not done so yet, join the channel. It helps us. That's the goal. Let's grow those memberships so Boogie can stick it to the man and quit working for corporate America and work for you guys in the chat, because I enjoy this. I thrive on this. I love working for you guys. Corporate America, they can piss off. That's going to do it for this one. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.